They look at me and see only the mask. I look at them and see only their fears. Yone, the unforgotten in life. Yone adhered to a strict code of honor and duty. Even as a child, his love for his family led him to assume the mantle of protector, motivated in no small way by the loss of his father. This was in stark contrast to his half-brother Yasuo, who was brash and reckless, where Yone was patient and disciplined. Still, the two were inseparable, and when Yone began his studies at the renowned sword school near their village, Yasuo followed. As they trained, Yone was often forced to temper his younger brother's impulsiveness. However, when Yasuo refused the personal tutelage of Elder Suma, master of the legendary wind technique, Yone gifted him a maple seed, a symbol of humility, as a sign of his support and encouragement. Yone was proud of his brother, but he had doubts about the wise master's judgment, fearing that Yasuo's impulsive nature would make him a poor student. But Elder Suma was well respected and did not make careless decisions. Putting his concerns aside, Yone continued to practice with dual blades, his prowess quickly earning the respect and admiration of his fellow disciples. Though Yone's skill was unmatched, Yasuo's use of the wind technique made their sparring sessions a sight to behold, and a joy to the brothers themselves. But that joy did not last long. War came to Ionia. Yone, along with many other disciples, left to defend against the approaching Noxian forces, while Yasuo reluctantly stayed behind to protect his master. But one fateful night, Elder Suma was discovered dead, slain by the very wind technique that he taught. When Yone returned, he found that Yasuo had fled. This shook Yone to his core. His fears were proven true. Elder Suma had been wrong. Yone blamed himself. If Yasuo had murdered Suma, Yone had failed to teach him the righteous path. If Yasuo had simply abandoned his post and allowed his master to die, then Yone had failed to instill him with discipline. Either way, Yasuo had already killed several of those who pursued him, and to Yone, their blood stained his own hands as much as his brother's. He tracked Yasuo down. When their swords finally crossed, Yone's steel was unmatched, but Yasuo's mastery of the wind cut his brother down. Death, however, was not the end. When Yone woke within the spirit realm, the weight of his failure crushed him. His fury flared, and he pounded his fists on the ground in rage. A rumbling laugh pierced his thoughts. He turned and beheld a monstrous humanoid spirit with a blood-red blade. It was a powerful Azakana, a predatory entity that had long stalked Yone from beyond the veil. Before Yone could speak, it struck. He drew the spiritual echoes of his blades to his side, just in time to block the attack. He once again found himself in a duel where his swordsmanship was unparalleled, but he was overwhelmed by magic. Anger consumed him. A lifetime of honor and duty snapped. In one furious moment, Yone wrested the Azakana's blade from it and ran the creature through. The last thing he heard before a new darkness took him was that same rumbling laughter. As he came to, Yone found himself back in the material realm, though it was a grim shadow of what it had been. He struggled to his feet, the spirit realm hazy in his mind, and a blood-red sword in his hand. Upon his head, A mask had coalesced in the form of the Azakana's face. He could not remove it, but he could now see other Azakana through its eyes. They were not yet true demons, content to feed on negativity before eventually manifesting to devour their hosts. But, as Yone would discover, if an Azakana's name was learned, they could be reduced to inert masks of personified emotion. Even so, he could not tell if or when the Azakana he wore would reawaken to consume him. In life, Yone had worn the mask of protector, brother, and disciple for so long that it had become his identity. But now, in moments of stillness, he swears he can feel the mask shifting upon his face. His own past and unresolved conflict with Yasuo now paling in comparison to this new threat. Yone hunts these insidious creatures in an attempt to understand what he has become, with each name bringing him a step closer to uncovering that of the one whose laughter still haunts him. Nothing else matters. There is only the chase of truth. Severed by Michael Yichow. The boy ran at a dead sprint, driven by terror. Under the sliver of a waning moon, darkness swallowed his surroundings with only the faintest starlight, giving a silver sheen to the misty night. Silhouettes of trees flashed by. The lantern in the boy's hand flickered and sputtered, in danger of snuffing out. But it was not the darkness he feared. It was the thing that stalked him in the darkness. The boy had felt it first, a sudden chill in the summer air, a creeping dread that clutched at his heart. Sensations that he might have dismissed as symptoms of the late hour and a long night. On any other occasion, he would have chastised himself for indulging in his imagination. He was 13 now, too old to be afraid of darting shadows and harmless spirits. But this spirit had opened glowing blue eyes and stared into his soul. This shadow had whispered his name. The boy risked a glance behind to see if it still followed, and promptly slammed into something. He fell back. The breath knocked from his lungs, and his lantern clattered to his side, its weak light fluttering wildly. Surprise and pain shifted quickly to fear as he saw the figure looming over him. A man, tall and lithe, stood with a bare torso, unfazed by the unusually chilly night. From the waist down, loose robes billowed in the wind, frayed from wear. An intricate belt of woven rope tied strange masks across his waist, monstrous visages trapped in alabaster. Bandages bound both his arms, and each hand grasped a blade, one of tempered steel, shimmering in the moonlight, the other shining an ominous red. Yet it was the man's face that left the boy frozen. Those cold blue eyes peered down through a cruel mask that radiated the same strange red as the man's blade. The mask grasped the man's face, nearly devouring his stern frown. "Stay back," the boy croaked. "It is not me you should fear." The man spoke, his voice a soft growl, eyes fixed on some point beyond the boy. Confusion knit the boy's brow as he followed the man's gaze. What he saw sent him scrambling to his feet. A vague shape hovered in the mists. If the stranger hadn't pointed it out, the boy might have missed it altogether. The mist twisted into wide eyes and slitted pupils, and the outline of a lumbering body took form, visible where it pushed the fog away to leave a negative space. The boy squinted. Something else glistened in the foggy night. Teeth? He had never seen anything like it, yet it somehow felt familiar. Like the boy knew this thing. It drew him, compelled him toward it. He took a tentative step forward. Something cold pierced through his chest. The boy looked down in shock at the tip of a shining red blade. His mind raced as his breath grew choppy from panic, expecting pain and blood. But neither came. Instead, a strange numbness spread through his body. Behind him, he heard the man mutter under his breath, and a strange sigil appeared in the air in front of them, as if painted by an invisible brush. A word or name the boy did not recognize. What? The man ignored him. My blade sees your true name, Azakana. The boy felt the sword pulled from his body, and he fell to his knees, gasping. His hands flew to his chest, but there was no puncture or wound. Even more strange, the boy felt lighter, as if some burden had been excised. He looked up, and a wall of teeth met his gaze. The creature lunged. A clash of steel rang out. The masked stranger stood before him, blades blocking the creature's massive, pale fangs. No, it was not the man, but a shadowy spirit in his form. The boy looked behind him, where the man himself stood, eyes closed, as if in meditation. A shiver ran down the boy's spine as the chill in the air now seeped into his bones, and with each motion of the struggling monster and man, he felt his soul lurch and sway, their very existence exerting a palpable force over him. The boy stared in awe. What is he? The spirit swordsman pushed the creature back, then burst into swirling tendrils of smoke, washing over the boy as it returned to the body of the stranger. The hideous creature bellowed in rage. As the boy squinted, he could see other parts of the beast through the mist. Matted fur, claws, a huge torso. But when he tried to focus on the whole body, parts would fade out from focus. You dare deny what is already mine? A rasping, impossible voice reverberated in the boy's mind, cutting through the rattling growls he heard from the monster. The boy belongs to me. The boy's stomach dropped. It can speak? Nothing in this realm belongs to you, the man said, unfazed. Cower, Tan Kohau. Though the words meant nothing to the boy, their utterance made his skin crawl. Yet their effect was far more pronounced on the creature, which emitted an ear-splitting squeal. Twisting, sinuous muscle wrapped around pale teeth and claws. 4 scarlet eyes narrowed on its horrific face, glowering atop a lumbering torso of gray hair that shimmered into existence. Ephemeral wisps turned to flesh and bone. So you are named, the man with the broken mask said. So you are revealed. A defiant howl shook the ground. The man shifted his stance, crouching low as he brought both swords to bear. So you shall perish. The beast charged, but the stranger dashed forward so fast that the boy nearly missed him. Swords sliced through the moonlight, one flashing silver, the other leaving a blood-red trail in its wake. Ichor sprayed from the creature as it fell to the ground. Slumber, Azakana. You are unmoored from flesh. The man strode forward and plunged both blades deep in the creature. It roared, then wheezed. The boy stared as its body dissipated into a swirling fog, its monstrous face contorting through a gamut of expressions as it shrank and calcified into an almost human-like appearance, finally assuming the shape of a mask. His eyes widened in recognition. Though it still possessed the 4 eyes of the monster in a distorted, exaggerated pose, it looked almost mournful and eerily close to his own face. With a shudder, the mask floated upward toward the man's outstretched hand. With a fluid motion, he sheathed his sword and tied the mask next to the others on his waist. Then he turned to leave. "What are you?" the boy asked. "Once, I knew the answer. But now—" The stranger paused. He fixed the boy with a steel gaze. A question tumbled from the boy's lips. "Was that thing me?" "Only a festered nightmare, feasting on your sorrows. But you aren't defined by it any longer." The boy bit his lip. "It's my fault. I'm weak, never good enough. My father was right." Without a sound, the man turned as though to approach, and the boy recoiled almost by habit. The stranger's expression softened ever so slightly. "Those we love say the things that hurt us most." The man pulled the mask from his waist, examining it. Despair devours our own voice, wearing the guise of reason, claiming to show us who we are. But it only shows us a warped version of our true selves. He turned the mask around and held it aloft for the boy to see. It seemed small, fragile, toothless. Pierce through its falsehoods to find your truth. The smallest hint of a smile crossed the man's face. "You'll be just fine, Andu." With that, the stranger turned away, leaving the boy alone in the dark woods. Echoes. Between life and death, Yone had always believed that a blade should be honest. Steel did not lie. It cut, or it did not. It killed, or it spared. In the villages of Ionia, where the wind bent the grass like water, Yone learned this truth long before he learned the names of the spirits that drifted unseen between the trees. He was the elder brother, the steadier hand, the one who bowed correctly and listened when the elders spoke. Where Yasuo was fire and motion, Yone was stone and breath. As boys, they trained beneath the same roof, yet walked different paths, even then. Yasuo chased mastery as if it were a storm he could outrun. Yone sought balance, believing that discipline was the only shield against chaos. He cleaned the dojo floors at dawn, corrected his brother's stances at dusk, and told himself that order, carefully maintained, could protect them both. He was wrong. The night the elders died, the wind screamed like a wounded animal. Accusations spread faster than truth, and Yasuo vanished beneath the weight of them. Yone followed the trail not as a hunter, but as a brother desperate to believe in innocence. Yet when steel met steel under a broken sky, belief shattered. Yasuo's blade struck true. Yone fell, not knowing whether his last breath carried forgiveness or failure. Death was not silence. Yone awoke to a world of echoes, where sound arrived late and light bent in impossible ways. His body lay behind him like discarded armor, while his spirit drifted forward, tethered by regret. Around him, masked beings moved through the air, Azakana, lesser demons born from human emotion. They whispered his doubts back at him, shaping his guilt into claws. One among them was stronger than the rest. It wore a mask of hunger and memory, feeding on the pain of those who could not let go. It circled Yone, savoring his conflict, duty against love, honor against blood. When it struck, Yone fought with instinct alone, spirit blades forming from sheer will. He destroyed the Azakana, but not without cost. Its mask fused to him, binding his soul to the threshold between life and death. Yone rose again, not living, not truly dead. The world he returned to felt thinner, as if reality were stretched too tight. He could see what others could not. Spirits clinging to sorrow, demons nesting in unspoken fears. The mask upon his face burned with constant awareness, a reminder of the price he had paid. He learned that Azakana grew wherever humans denied their own pain, and that left alone, they would one day become full demons. So Yone walked. From village to village, battlefield to battlefield, he hunted the unseen. Each demon he slew whispered its name as it died, and Yone carved those names into memory, believing that understanding was another form of mercy. With every battle, he felt the pull of the spirit realm tighten, threatening to unravel him entirely. Yet he pressed on, guided by a single purpose, to ensure that no one else would be consumed by regret as he had been. Thoughts of Yasuo followed him like a second shadow. Yone did not seek vengeance. That emotion, too, could birth demons. Instead, he carried questions. Had his brother found peace? Did he still run from the past, chased by ghosts that would never tire? Yone wondered whether his own return was punishment or opportunity, whether balance demanded that the brothers one day face each other again, not as enemies, but as survivors of the same tragedy. When they finally met, the wind held its breath. Yasuo saw a stranger first, a masked warrior with twin blades and eyes like distant storms. Yone saw what he had always seen: potential, pain, and a man shaped by mistakes. Their words were few, heavy with everything left unsaid. There was no duel that day, no dramatic reckoning, only an understanding that some wounds could not be healed by steel alone. Yone turned away, choosing the road once more. He knows his time is borrowed. Each demon slain frays the thread that anchors him to the world. One day, the mask will claim what remains of his soul, or the spirit realm will pull him beyond return. Until then, Yone endures. He is a watcher between realms, a reminder that even the most disciplined heart can break, and that redemption is not found in erasing the past,